I get a lot of these video mails where a person will videotape the problems they have on their car, whether it's a Mustang or a Classic, and then upload it on YouTube and then send me the link so I can visually take a look at that and see if I can fix their problem for them or at least give them some advice. And I get those every week. I get a lot of those things. And today what I'm doing is I'm going to show you one, and I'm going to go through his problems one by one and give you my take on what I think the fix is. It's a nice guy out of Scottsdale, Arizona, and he's got a 70 Mustang Coupe that apparently he's had for a while, and he's just trying to get it to a level where he can feel real proud of it and go to car shows. Let's see what he's got going.
Hey Chris, it's Josh down here back in Tucson. As you can see, I'm starting to sand the Mustang down a little bit, probably going to paint it back to the original color of yellow. And I had a couple of questions for you. I was wondering if you had any advice for a first-time painter for a car like this. I've started to do the initial sanding, but nothing too major yet. And
Okay, what he's got going on there is, as you can see from the pictures, is that he's tried to sand it in one form or another. What he's probably been using, or somebody probably used in the past, is something like this. It's called a DA, or dual action sander. This one actually is made by Craftsman. If you go to Sears, you can get a pretty good one for a pretty inexpensive price. But a dual action sander, it looks to me as what somebody tried to do on there, and they weren't holding it real steady. My advice to him is going to be to take each panel piece by piece. Rather than trying to attack the whole car, it's easier if you take a small section, work with it, get your accomplishment done, move on to the next one. You feel more confident of what you've done. If you go and ruin something, you've only ruined a small thing on the car, and you can move on from there. The thing about a dual action sander is they're called dual action because it can orbit or it can lock. When you do something like this, like stripping on this guy's car, you want to make sure that you don't put it on lock. You want to put it on the orbital. You can do less damage with it, and you'll use like an 80 grit paper. It takes a while to strip the paint, but you can harm less by doing that. And that's going to be my advice. Go panel per panel and go from there.
so wanted to get some advice before I dive into this thing. Another question is I have, the guy who had the car before me did the primer job, and he didn't tape up the windows very well, so I don't know if you can see right here, but there's a spot right here that's been primered on, and there are a couple of different places around, on different parts of the glass around the car that have the same problem, and I was wondering if there's a way to get it off.
Well, what I think he has there is some sort of an acid or chemical spill that happened to his glass. He goes on to say that he's tried steel wools, he's tried lacquer thinners, he's tried mineral spirits, he's tried all these home remedies that guys that car shows have actually told him about, and they're not working. You can maybe get a glass guy out there to try and buff it off for you, but my gut feeling is he's going to have to replace whatever glass it is that is damaged by what is on there, because it's just...
I went to a car show and someone told me that if I took triple aught steel wool and some white distilled vinegar and just scrape away at it, that it would eventually come off. And I tried everything from the 4 aught steel wool to the grade 1 steel wool. I tried it with white distilled vinegar, some lacquer remover or lacquer thinner, paint thinner, everything. And
see, the problem with using all that kind of stuff on glass, you take a chance on damaging other things around the car that might not be related to it, and of course polluting the air, maybe making a spill there. You got to watch out for little kids. So, sometimes you got to be smart about this thing. This guy sounds like he's a smart guy. I don't think he's done anything stupid, but watch out when you're working with chemicals, because it can be a bad thing.
Nothing seems to be getting this thing off. And I've tried the razor, nothing is getting this off, so I have no idea what to do on that one. And then last question I had is there's a sound that's coming, I think it's coming from the upper control arm, but every time there's pressure on this side fender right here, you can hear that little bump. And it sounds like the upper control arm and the suspension, but I don't know what it could be. And I was wondering if you had any sort of tips on, what that, well, it's not doing it now, of course, but what that sound like.
It's like going to the doctor. Whenever you go to the doctor, your toothache goes away or your bad feeling goes away, and apparently this noise is going away while he's trying to do the video for me. My gut feeling is that it's one of these things here. This is called a coil spring seat. The coil spring literally sits down on this thing, and all the way to the car, everything you got is on this little deal right here that has rubber bushings on it and rubber insulators. And over time, from the car leaning on it, going up and down roads, it eventually wears out. And of course, that's why with the spring compression that he's referring to, it actually is starting to make noise. So I'm going to give him the advice to jack up the car, take a look at these things here. There's a couple of other things he could look at too at the same time, and that will probably solve his problem.